Yo, you have finally found the podcast that you have been waiting for a long time. And it is here with the Twin Flames. Today, we are talking about the process of forgiveness. We're going to give you those 3 tools, and you better stick to the end because we got a good one coming. It's your favorite Twin Flames. We are back here for another episode. I'm here with my bestie again, girl.
Hey, sweetie pie.
What's going on, best friend?
Same shit, different toilet. No, I'm sorry. This is a R-rated show. Same stuff, different day.
Yeah, indeed. And everybody still has regular old life problems for sure.
What I always say, life be
Life
lifing.
be lifing.
It
Indeed.
really do.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and they were telling me about a bad experience that they had with their father, right? And he says to me, he's like, my father, I've always tried so hard with my father, and I just feel like my father doesn't love me. And I'm like, but that's your dad. Your dad is always going to love you.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they argue all the time. They just can never get along.
Okay.
And I felt bad for the guy. And I understood because I did have the same experience growing up, with one of my parents where I didn't really, I went through my little teenage thing.
Yeah, like we all do.
I went through my little teenage thing, and then I had a little bit of resentment towards that parent when I got older.
Okay.
And, but being an adult, I came out of it because I had to go through certain things in life in order to kind of like forgive them for it. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, like I felt bad because I really wanted him to understand, but I don't think he kind of got what I was telling him. Unfortunately, we run into these individuals. They don't get it sometimes.
They sure don't.
But we got some tools for those people out here today that are having a hard time with the process of forgiveness, man.
Yes.
Because it's not easy, right?
It's not. I had some issues with my family members. My mom, she passed away.
Yeah.
But I remember like little things that happened as a kid. I held on to it for a long time, and then I didn't release until after she passed away.
Yeah.
And then there was times where I would find myself saying, after she passed away, Ma, had you just said this to me, things would be different. And I said, what are you doing? She's gone.
That's
like,
deep.
Let go.
But you know what? We want to bring this to light for a lot of people because we want to make sure that they can understand what forgiveness looks like, before it's too late.
Definitely.
See, you didn't have the chance to forgive your mom for certain things.
Yeah.
And, all jokes aside, we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to forgive.
And let me ask you, why would someone want to even forgive? Like, what is there a end result to this? Is there something that, I know the answer, but I want to see if you know the answer. Is there something is it mandatory that you got to forgive somebody? And if they don't forgive, what can happen?
In my opinion, I totally think it's mandatory because if you don't learn the process of forgiveness, you will hold yourself back in life in a way that you'll have so much regret. Mm-hmm. And that's what we talk about. That's our gist here. We want everybody to get through this lifetime and not hold on to regret.
Definitely. Really quick story. I remember growing up, we had this cousin who was in the same age group as my mom and her siblings. Mm-hmm. And this cousin, he was just that, everyone got that person in their family that just can't get their shit together.
Yeah.
And at that time, they were like in their maybe late 20s, early 30s. Something happened significant and they went their separate ways because he really like the buildup of all his, excuse my French, fuck ups got ridiculous. And they was like, now he's dead to us. And so then abruptly one day they get a call, he died.
Yeah.
And they said he died trying to cross the street and he got hit by a car and a car hit him, like had him pinned against the pole. But what's really interesting was when we were at the funeral, the minister explained that 2 weeks before that happened, my cousin gave himself to God.
Wow.
He went up in church and professed to be, a believer in Christ, and he asked for forgiveness from God because he he had did a lot of things.
Yeah.
But the key with that story is that the family members were devastated because he was ostracized out the family.
Wow.
And they could not forgive themselves for not just for, like, when they look back at it, they were like, well, yeah, he was a fuck up, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
We could have fixed it.
Yeah.
And he died in such a tragic way that really like resonated with them.
Then it rocked your family.
It really did. So I remember that clear as a bell back in the day that this happened, and it just, so forgiveness is really significant, because every day that passes by is time lost.
Indeed.
And they lost a lot of time. And he died early.
Indeed. You're just holding on to stuff. You just holding on to these unnecessary thoughts. And sometimes and just like you said, it wasn't even that bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't even worthy of the crime. The punishment wasn't worthy. The crime wasn't worthy of the punishment. You know what I mean. But yeah, that's unfortunate. I'm very sorry to hear that, but there's a lot of people out here that have the same story.
They do.
And
I think we all do.
We all do. Of course we do.
Because you can find people that piss you off.
And listen, I've shared about my past, about having to forgive an ex.
You sure did.
Yeah, who cheated on me for years.
Yes.
And I walk around here like he's still my best friend.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do we get to that point?
Yes, we got to give them some tools.
We got to give y'all some tools. I think there's 3 tools, though. I think that there's 3 keys to this process of forgiveness. So honestly, I believe that self-awareness is key number 1.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So the process of self-forgiveness, when you really, truly understand how that person played a role in your life, right? And we talk about shadow work a lot, right? So even when you delve into the idea of shadow work, and people ask, well, how do you start shadow work? You have to do in order to do shadow work, you got to start forgiving first.
Yeah, but there's self-awareness.
And indeed.
Because you got to figure out, what is it that I'm trying to forgive them for? Like like make a list of, and it don't have to just be one person. You can make a list of people that you have pushed out of your life for significant reasons.
Yeah.
And so, and people must understand that forgiveness, how can I put it? It's good to give the list, because even though you forgive one person, let's say there's 10 people on your list. If you only forgive one person, you still got 9 other people in your life that you haven't forgiven, and that's holding you back from moving forward. So the first tool is make a list. Like, okay, who are these people that who are in my heart that pissed me off?
That cause you pain.
Cause me pain.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And you'll be surprised. Some of y'all got some really long ass lists. But it's okay. You gotta start somewhere.
You gotta go start somewhere.
It's not about how you start. It's about how you finish it.
Yes. One time I said something to somebody. This shit was funny. I said, if you don't forgive, you're gonna have to come back. And they said, well, I guess I'm coming back, because there's some people I would never forget. I'm like, damn.
Yeah,
you're willing to come back just because you can't forgive that one soul?
That's some serious pain.
Yeah.
And you got to dig deep to find out where that comes from.
Definitely.
That's what the self-awareness is all about. You got to dig deep to find out what the core of that really truly is. And sometimes a lot of people don't even understand. That's why, again, shadow work is so important.
Yes.
Is that particular person may have sparked something in you that you don't even realize was because of an example or something that you experienced when you were a child.
For example, I find people who something happened, like going back to something in their childhood. I know one particular family member, I don't know what happened in her childhood.
Yeah.
But loyalty is like a big thing for her. And so as soon as somebody crosses her, she got a whole laundry list people in our family that she don't F with. She's like, take them off now. So I'm like, dang, how many poor, I'm trying to make sure I don't get on that list. But it's something obviously that happened in her past, that loyalty is a big significant factor. And if you're not loyal, and her requirement of loyalty is very stringent. So you got to be very careful on how you interact with her, because if you don't agree with something she says, she deems that as being unloyal. So that's why it's so important for you to do self-awareness and figure this thing out, because your character starts becoming different and you start becoming this mean old hag. You start becoming negative, and people around you knows like, oh, this is you just, and then you'll always be complaining.
Yeah.
This person, that person, and after a while, it's like, you're the problem.
Exactly. Sometimes it's just yo ass.
Remember Martin when Martin's mother and her crew was in the car?
Yeah.
And the lady in the back was, it smelled like hot garbage in here. And they said, Miss So everywhere we go, you smell hot garbage. Maybe the hot garbage is you.
It's you. That was season 1, by the way.
Oh, damn. That's a tool.
That's a tool. Know your Martins, baby. But yeah, definitely, man. Yeah. Self-awareness is critical. And, even it allows you to understand your role in all of it too, right? But that's a whole thing, man. Yeah. It really truly is a whole thing. But the next tool, that I will say that is critical in this whole process, of forgiveness is the idea of identification, identifying who your villain is, the identification process.
Okay. And so now with that, how does that coincide with the first? Because the first one is
self-awareness.
Self-awareness. Okay.
Yeah, so you knowing your own role and then also how other villains played a part in your pain.
Gotcha.
But the identification process is really truly honing in on who your villains truly are.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so now what they can do is figure out on a spiritual level, why was this person hurting me? What lessons did I learn? So through shadow work, like we mentioned previously, they can figure that out on what this person's purpose was on hurting. I want to say, a lot of people, it gets a little cryptic when it comes down to your villain and this person that hurt you, because, you have to understand, and we mentioned previously, this person that hurt you, sometimes they're your best friend in heaven.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
And they signed a contract with you to say, okay, I'm going to be that person that, hurts your feelings, do all kind of stuff because this is the end result. This is the goal. Yeah. So you said the identification?
The identification exercise.
Yes.
Identifying who your villain is and what role they played in hurting you.
Yes.
Right? Because then you're really getting to the meat of it. Then you really have to sit back and understand your own emotions.
Definitely.
That's kind of scary.
Because it's kind of like, saying, what part did I play in indirectly?
Yeah.
Or
what part did they play in hurting you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So the identification we got to give it a name. We got to call it something. What are Twin Flames going to call the identification process?
Like what my husband would say, the identification process.
Identification process.
Quick story. So when Janine and I was selling hair, we was trying to sit down and figure out a name for this company. And my husband's like, he probably was wearing a robe and some slippers. What y'all need to do is call it hair providers. Y'all being too complicated. So to this day, we always thought hair providers. Oh my gosh.
This man is ridiculous.
Yes.
Hair provider.
So the self-identification process is indirectly, it's like paying homage to the person that hurt you, because you got to figure out, what did this do? And like, did it change your character?
Yeah.
And when I say paying homage, indirectly, it could be on a negative note. Did it make you into a bitter bitch? Did it make you into this mean old hag? Like, what part did this person play in your personality?
Yeah.
And then you have to go into shadow work, because you got to start peeling back layers, because most of the time, whatever that person did to you to make you propel you into that mode is something that stemmed from years ago, from your childhood or your early adulthood.
Yeah.
And that's why you're so angry at this person.
Indeed.
So, and a lot of times when these people do it, they don't knowingly know they hurt you.
Yes.
And that happened to me.
That's a strong point.
Yeah. So I that happened to me with the two individuals I had a hard time forgiving. Later on, when I looked at the benefit of having them hurt me, was I had to grow.
Yeah.
And I was the type, because I was dealing with depression for 20 years, I had the potential to just lay there like a lump on a log.
Mm-hmm.
But because I didn't get the help I needed from the right people, it made me get my behind up and, what'd you say, tie your bootstraps.
Yeah.
And go into nursing school.
Yeah.
And do the right thing and become a grown-ass woman.
Yeah.
And I could thank them for that. So I'm paying homage to these individuals.
Yeah.
They don't know who they are, but I'm paying homage to them because they made sure that, and their role, and I acknowledge that their role was not to help me. Because if they helped me, I would still be that lump on the log. I'd probably be a housewife and expecting handouts from people.
Yeah.
So kudos to the people that hurt me.
Exactly. That's like me identifying my haters.
Yes.
Those haters in my life. Mm-hmm. Guess what? You hating on me, but guess what? You made me a better person today.
Definitely. And what did you learn from people hurting you, like haters? And I think we talked about this earlier. What did you learn from having haters in your life?
Yeah, but you know what's cool? I'm getting ready to answer that question, but it goes into key number three.
Okay.
All about self-love, baby.
Yep. Exactly.
Self-love.
Exactly. Yes.
And indeed, so these people really truly had to hurt me in order for me to really focus on me and how important I was to myself. And not worry about other people's opinions of me.
Exactly. And that's a hard thing.
Yeah, it is.
It really is, because it's human nature to want acceptance.
Yeah.
It's human nature for everyone to love you.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people...
Or even want validation.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why a lot of people have a hard time forgiving, because whoever hurt them didn't validate them and to make them feel like they were somebody special.
Correct.
So I that's a key point. And so you had learned that you are important. You need to love yourself.
I did.
You need to, and then also too, you have to remember, and we talked about this, is that why you care.
Yes.
Why do you care what these people think about you?
Yeah.
And one of the tools with the tools I use, it hit me like a ton of bricks. When I'm at a nighttime when I was sleeping and people were in their bed sleeping, I was thinking about these individuals.
Yeah, that's bad.
I'm up thinking about them. And then, because I'm from
bad.
Brooklyn, no disrespect to Brooklyn, but we always be like, had I been younger, I would have cursed them.
Yeah, I would have
fucked that bitch. I would have whipped her tail. So you start thinking of all the coulda, shoulda, wouldas.
Yeah.
And then that makes you, and it made me into a bitter person temporarily. Right. And I dealt with depression for 20 years, and that was the spice on top of that. It just was adding fuel to the fire. So I couldn't even come out of my depression because I wasn't forgiven.
Yeah.
And the key is, once I started forgiving, my depression started fading away.
Yeah.
So
Indeed.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So self-love is usually the end point. That's the end game right there. Because once you have self-love, you open up so much opportunity into not only heightening your spirituality, but raising your vibration.
Definitely.
And so many positive things, including abundance, can come just by loving yourself first.
Did we touch on forgiving ourselves in this process?
No, but that is a strong point.
Yeah,
you do
because
have to forgive yourself.
That's part of self-love, is forgiving yourself.
Indeed.
Because not all the time, but most of the time in these interactions with individuals that hurt you, you kind of played a part in it.
Yeah.
I don't know how, because I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, she's trying to say that, my husband beating on me, no. I'm just saying, in certain situations, maybe in a situation where you were being battered, you didn't leave quick enough,
or didn't speak up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you got to forgive yourself for not speaking up, or whatever happened in the situation.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing too, is speaking up.
It is.
And that was my problem. I just didn't speak up. I chose, because, in my culture, you just respect certain people because of the status that they have. So I kept quiet because I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Yeah.
So if this thing happened, freshly started in my life today, because I'm close to 50, I would have handled it totally different. I would have said, listen, this is what you're doing that's hurting me.
Yeah.
So
indeed.
Yeah.
But that's why the Twin Flames are here, because we're going to teach the world about the process of self love, man. And that's why you got to come visit us at the
Yes.
Uplift Healing Centers, because we can show you so many more tools and learn so many more things. Even follow us on Instagram.
Yes.
Follow us on Instagram on Truth Be Told Conversations, man, because we're going to give you these tools on how to practice self-love.
And so the key too with that is, the question is, are you ready to forgive?
Aha.
Are you ready? And why should you forgive?
Why should you forgive?
And we mentioned that already. Hold you back, and you want chapters to open in your life. And if you're not forgiving, you're stagnant.
Yeah.
You know. And,
Indeed.
Yeah. And then also too, in the spiritual world, and a lot of people debate about this, but forgiveness is one of the biggest keys in the list of things you need to do here on earth before you go back. And if you don't forgive people, and this is where it becomes cryptic, and this is why it's very intricate, and I'm going to break it down really quick. So if a person was assigned to hurt you, to help you elevate, in my situation, I'm going to use my example.
Yeah.
So these individuals were sent here, and I know that for a fact, they were sent here amongst other things, but solely what my relationship with them was not to help me.
Yeah.
That was their assignment. Now, if I never forgave them and we went back to heaven and we sat down and discussed the situation, they would have like, oh, they were assigned to do that to you.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know how to get up on your own. You was always waiting for handouts. So let
me ask you something. You got three daughters, right? You got three daughters. And what if your daughters are they're all past the teenage stage.
Yes.
So when they had came to you about their first breakup and they had to forgive that boyfriend, what did that experience look like?
Wait. Well, the funny thing is, I'm gonna tell on myself, I don't even think I taught them how to forgive that boyfriend.
Okay, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Because that's why we're talking about this. We got to put this into play. Because if one of your children came to you and said, oh my God, Ma, he hurt me, and he posted something really crazy on social media about me, and now you have to teach your daughter about forgiving that individual using these tools. Like, how does that work?
And because then the joke is, I'm on a list of people that need to forgive him too, because you hurt my baby.
You fuck right. Because
listen, I gotta learn.
Turning up.
Yeah. Meet me outside. Tell your parents to come outside.
That's right.
But that's a very interesting question, because I need to teach my kids how to learn how to forgive. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of times adults don't learn that until they get older and find that on their own.
Indeed.
And when they start doing shadow work, they realize, like, wait a minute, these people that have hurt me is holding me back because I can't forgive them. Because
your kids are your kids are not teenagers anymore. They're in their 20s. So now they have to start putting real life practices into play.
They do. I will.
So with the process of self-awareness, if they have to become self-aware as a spiritualist, as their mom, what is that one thing that you're going to say to your daughters to help them with self-awareness?
So we have gone through breakups, and one thing I do teach them is the next boyfriend you get, look for the patterns.
Yeah.
Because if he's the same dude but a different outfit on or different hairs, because a lot of times they find the same kind of guy and they get all googly-eyed over them, and then they fall for the okie doke, and then they go through the same breakup. And my husband is funny because he said to my youngest, who at times can look like Nicki Minaj, so she gets all this attention.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Yes, so thank you, darling. Mm-hmm. But he said to her the other day, like, listen, you had that major breakup, learn from it, and don't do it again.
Yeah.
Of course, that's from a man perspective, because you're going to find the next dude that you find may do the same exact thing to you. So he's trying to protect her, but it was good advice.
Yeah.
Just look for the signs, and because you'll keep going through the same rotation.
Indeed. And so then she has to do self-identification, right?
Definitely.
The identification tactic.
Or why she keep...
Not self-identification. Yeah.
Why she keep picking the same guy. Yeah. And that's where the forgiveness come from too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of women point the fingers at all these guys that they have broke up with. Oh, he this one. But then you got to point the finger back at you like, What part did you play in? Because you kept picking the same man.
Exactly.
You didn't learn the lesson.
Exactly.
And that's part of shadow work.
Part of shadow
and
work.
That's why you got to come to the Uplift Healing Centers, because we can help you with that process.
Indeed. And then now your girls got to learn about self-love. You're really good though. You're really good as a mom though when it comes to like teaching your girls about loving themselves, and you put a lot of things into perspective. But for the world, like, give me an example. Like, what do you do to teach them about self-love?
My major thing with my daughters is I teach them, don't worry about what people think of you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, through psychology, you learn that every age group is a certain status. So when my daughters were in the age range of 12, they don't care what their parents think. They think about what their friends think. So I remember one of my kids, it was like, oh, they making fun of my teeth. So we had to run out and get her braces because it was melting her mental status. And indirectly, I felt weird because I'm like, am I adding to the fuel by running to get these braces versus allowing her to accept herself for who she is?
Yeah, let me tell you. So my niece is, well, one time I took her out to eat.
Yeah.
And she had lifted up her underarms. It was the summertime. She lifted up her underarms and she was starting to get hair under her underarm.
Okay.
And I said, I'm going to have to tell your mom, she's going to have to teach you how to shave. And I noticed her face change and she was like, And I told her mom, and I'm like, yo, why you got this girl walking around here with hair under her arm, looking like, Bushwick Bob and shit. So it's funny because my sister said, did you say something to her?
Oh, shoot. You about to get your ass beat.
I'm like, yeah. She's like, I'm not shaving her underarms because I need her to love herself first. And I need her to accept her body before I start teaching her about shaving her underarms. I was like, oh, fuck. Let me mind my damn business.
Listen, finish your message because I'm going to give my own personal. I went through the same thing. My mom did not let me shave until I was like 15, 16.
Yeah.
And I was a hairy kid.
Yeah.
And I went through trauma.
But but it's crazy. I understood what my sister was trying to do.
And I understand too.
Yeah. I felt terrible about it because here I am being fucking superficialist. Like, you got my daughter walk right here look like.
But I will. Listen, my
niece.
My kid's pediatrician.
Yeah.
She's funny. She says she be getting on these parents and she'll tell them, like, don't do that to them because now they got to go to school and get made fun of. And that's mental trauma.
I know.
So that's a balance right there because I know what I went through. Let me tell you, I was wearing stockings with shorts over the summer.
Yeah.
Stockings with shorts in 80-degree weather because I didn't want nobody to see my hairy legs.
It was trendy.
So I forgive my mother for that. It took me, listen, because that was some childhood trauma and she caused that. Nope. I was hairy. Oh, I looked like a hot mess.
Oh, poor little Tink Tink. You made it out alive though.
I did.
Because you gorgeous, girl.
Ooh,
you and your hairy soul.
Now that I'm close to 50, now hair stopped growing in certain places.
See?
I'm like, 2 months I ain't got to shave my legs. I appreciate that.
We call those hormone changes.
I appreciate that part. There's some benefits.
Indeed, man. But yeah, man, these are the tools. It's how you apply these things to your everyday life.
Yeah.
Because forgiveness is essential. I don't care who the fuck you are. You gotta forgive.
You gotta forgive. And everyone has somebody to forgive.
Indeed.
And a lot of times people, with being on the psych ward, my major message to all my patients, if I can get to that level with them, I can't get to that level with all of them, but if I know they have some kind of spirituality or into God, I say to them all the time, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Because many of them are holding on to stuff that they have done in the past. And I say, I tell them, I don't care if you robbed a bank. I give them a laundry list of things. And I said, I don't care. Like, forgive yourself.
You know what's crazy? When you say that to people I notice when I do it, and I know it happens when you do it.
Yeah.
When you say that to people, something resonates. It's like turning on a light switch.
Yeah.
And when you say forgive yourself, they're like, oh shit.
How you know my stuff?
Maybe I should forgive myself. I never even thought about forgiving myself. And it's this whole moment of self-awareness.
Definitely.
Incredible stuff, man.
Have you ever had to forgive yourself for, like, can you be transparent and mention, besides, you ratting on you telling your niece to shave. Have you ever had to forgive yourself for something else you did?
Oh yeah, but I don't know. I can't really think of an example because I'm being put on the spot.
Sorry.
But no doubt. I know that I have.
Yeah.
I've had to forgive myself. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna give you a good example.
Okay.
I was always looked at as the mean girl in the family.
Okay.
And for me, it was a defense mechanism because I felt like I was picked on.
Okay.
But I am now labeled, even all the way up into my 40s, I'm being labeled as the mean girl in my family. And it sucks because I have done all of this great work to try to change my damn image. They still think I'm a bitch.
You need, what do they call those people? You need what do they call those people that help you with your image, an image consultant or something?
I need therapy and Jesus.
Somebody in a podium and read a letter. Janine says she's sorry.
A publicist. I need a fucking publicist, yo. I swear to God I do.
Because they still can't.
Everybody still want to label me as mean.
So I have a suggestion. Next time you go to family barbecue, put a t-shirt on, say, I'm the mean girl.
I'm the mean.
Own it.
Yes, right.
Own it.
We going straight to the point. I'm the mean girl and what?
Yes. But let me ask you, with that being said, what lesson did you learn from that mean girl title?
Number one, how I present myself was always important. So I have to be aware of how I speak to people because sometimes I carry a certain tone. At the end of the day, I carry strong energy.
Yes.
I'm a strong individual all the way around. And I really didn't understand how strong I come across. You had to tell me that one day. You said, Jay, like sometimes when you talk, bitch, you a little strong in your tone.
Like, what do you mean by that? Explain. I'm like, Ma, is that you? You back from heaven? Like, what do you mean? Explain why would you say that? I'm like, damn.
No, but real talk. So I didn't realize that I came across that way.
Okay.
And that's the self-awareness.
Yeah.
So once I understood that sometimes it's just my presentation.
Yes.
Now I have to be a little docile Janine sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And get in touch with my soft side so I don't intimidate people.
Yes.
And because honestly, my intentions are not to be mean. And now that I'm an adult, I definitely am not trying to intentionally be mean. I've completely changed. I'm a totally different person at this point.
Because that's growth.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I don't want the fucking karma, bitch.
She's like, I'm not doing it for y'all. I'm doing it for me.
That's the self-love. But no doubt. I don't want to intentionally hurt anybody. So I have to be aware of the way that I move around people. Yeah. So that way I don't come across as intimidating or trying to hurt them.
That's a big example, and I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Because,
thank you.
That transparency of, that's personal.
It is. And then on top of that, I still have family members, unfortunately, that don't know the new me.
Okay.
So it's still an ongoing process because those people, I love them. They're my family, but I have to accept the fact that they are not in touch with this new individual because of my bad labels.
Well, actions speak louder than words. Yeah. And it kind of goes full circle of not caring what people think.
Indeed.
Because now you're getting older, and at the end of the day, one of the things I tell my kids, I used to say when they were when you're young and you're going through a storm, and then your parents come with their old thinking ways, it could be like I know I need to hear that in my 30s, but I'm like 15 right now, and that's not necessary.
Exactly.
So I would tell my kids, they'd be like 5 years old, let me ask you 3 questions. Do they pay your bills? No. Do they put food on the table? No. Do they put clothes in your bag? No. Then why the hell you care?
That's right. You're damn Skippy.
And then they go back to school and get bullied again.
Damn it, we back to square one.
But yeah, so now that you're older, indirectly, you're working on yourself. But you can do so much for anyone to, look at you in a different light. But you do understand that you can't please everybody.
Yeah, no doubt. I get it.
But like I said, I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Indeed. So we give you these tools. Hopefully, audience, you can take it and run with it because it's so essential, once again, to understand that process of forgiveness, man.
Definitely.
Yeah, forgive everybody around you because ain't no need in holding on to shit that no longer serves you.
Exactly.
Yeah, indeed, man. So listen, if you haven't liked, it's time to like right now and share with other individuals that need to know. How do you forgive? Well, let me show you. Send them right over here to the Twin Flames because we got a great message. Thank you guys for stopping by. And as always, remember that God is love. Love is the highest frequency. And go and find the God within.
Amen.